Good afternoon and a warm welcome to the 2018 Netball Europe Open Challenge here in sunny Gibraltar, here at the Victoria Stadium with our 5 competing teams this weekend over the next action-packed 4 days. Gibraltar, Israel and Republic of Ireland are joined by our 2 most recent member countries who will take to the court at a Netball Europe event for the first time. A very warm welcome to the Isle of Man and the United Arab Emirates. It's an action-packed weekend here, following hot on the heels of the recent Commonwealth Games, where another regional team, England, took gold in that exciting game by 1 goal against holders Australia. I'm Lynn Carpenter, and I'm delighted to be joined today in the commentary dots by Sean Berman, joint coach of Israel, and also on the team sheet, Sean. Welcome.
Thanks.
So we have the first of the games lined up today, starting at 4 o'clock. Isle of Man squad is up on your screens for you to see, and I can give you the starting 7 today. In at goalkeeper for the Isle of Man is Katrina Keeling. Goal defence, Viv Stawna. In at wing defence, Lydia Shaw. Their centre is Rachel Boyd-Johnson. Wing attack, Jane Ryder. Goal attack, Ashley Hall. And at goal shooter, Chloe Swales.
We just had the first goal scored by Isle of Man.
So as you can see, if you're watching live, welcome and pleased that you're joining us. Remember, if you'd like to join the netball conversation this afternoon, you can go to #NEOpen and we'll do our best to give you a mention. Sean, so as you can see, the teams have already started on the court today. Quick turnaround already.
Well, it's 1-1, and both came off fighting. Looks like it's going to be a very interesting match.
So starting 7 for, again, another new team, United Arab Emirates. In it, goalkeeper, we have Flisher. Goal defence, Liv Flanagan. Wing defence, Gemma Shand. Centre, Carly Lewis. Wing attack, Lou Vickery. In at goal attack, we have Kat Chase. And at goal shooter, Sarah Donovan.
Now we just had 2 turnovers.
So both teams taking a little bit of time to settle. First time they've played here at Netball Europe as international countries. Both teams have got some interesting players in their side. Anyone we should be looking out for today, Sean, do you think?
There are quite a lot of experienced players on the UAE, from what I understand. The Isle of Man is an interesting combination of some older and some younger players, so it'll be interesting to see how they play together. So but both of them are new to the court, so it's going to be a learning for all of us.
So some early nerves by Donovan, the shooter there for UAE. But she makes no mistake that time. UAE take a slight early lead, 2-1 in this first quarter of the Netball Europe Open Challenge here in Gibraltar. Umpires for today's game out on court are Nadine Zammit from Gibraltar, Joe Lilly from Scotland, and the reserve umpire today is Kate Stevenson from England. Good play there by Isle of Man, picking up the turnover.
Making a lot of mistakes, probably just nerves. Both teams will need to settle a little bit.
Goal attack there, Kate Chase for UAE. Isle of Man centre pass. Unlucky by Swales, but good rebound in there. Swales puts it away, 3-2, UAE lead. So again, teams just need to settle down. How do you think the teams will be feeling out there today, Sean? First time these players have taken to the court. Good hands there by
the keeper.
Keeling for the Isle of Man. Into Donovan. Good shot by Sarah Donovan for UAE.
UAE is looking really strong on their shooting, where the Isle of Man has missed a couple, but not now.
Wales made no mistake that time. 4-3 here at the Victoria Stadium in Gibraltar.
Nice
Great intercept
by the keeper.
By Flischer. Well kept in by their captain, Ashley Hall. Great rebound by Chloe Swales, only 23. Brings the score 4-all. And Isle of Man's centre pass. The centre, Rachel Johnson-Boyd to take.
I think the Isle of Man nerves are settling a little bit.
Good pressure there by the whole Isle of Man defence unit. Trying to find the space. Great intercept there by go defence Vivia Stawna, who also plays international football. Unlucky just offside there.
It's very hard with these markings on the court. But that's what all the teams have to deal with. There we go on both ends.
Kylie Lewis centre there for UAE just offside as Isle of Man bring the ball down again. Players just taking a little bit of time to react to the umpires, but another great ball in there. Jane Ryder there, wing attack for the Isle of Man. Yeah. Experienced player, 39 years of age. So that's part of the blend of youth and experience that the Isle of Man bring to the court today.
Yeah. And a lot of fight. The girls are really fired up, and you can see it in their game, fighting for every single ball.
Donovan.
Not missing.
Confident shot. Being coached by some really interesting people, Rayon Henry and Lynn Gunson.
Which I believe are friends of yours.
Lynn Gunson was an awesome coach.
By the looks of things, she still is. Ooh, that's the first miss by Donovan.
So good pressure there on.
No, the keeper is really putting pressure on her.
Katrina Keeling in there, goalkeeper for the Isle of Man. Not afraid to pop the ball up, Donovan. Keeping UAE within touch and distance. Isle of Man leading 8-5 in this first quarter here today. Halfway through the first quarter of this first game. Great hands there by Gemma Shand, only 17. Wing defence for UAE. Interestingly, born in Scotland.
I think the majority of the girls in the UAE are originally from the Great Britain somehow.
There's a blend, I think it's fair to say.
And a lot of them have played in some type of netball matches or ranking games from what I see as well. There are very few that are born and bred in the UAE.
Good ball in there by Flanagan. Finding Donovan, so keeping well in reach. UAE not letting this game run away with them. Centre pass.
She gets called up a lot. And I'm not sure if it's the umpire's standing or if she's picking her hands up before she's getting the distance on the keeper.
Oh, well read there, almost by good defence UAE. Liv Flanagan. And Swales again. 9-8 to the Isle of Man. Very tight first quarter here. With Isle of Man only recently as well a new member within the international netball family. Neither team are ranked yet in the world. You have to play, I think it's 8 international games within a year to get your ranking points.
Is this their first game ever?
Very first as UAE.
Oh, wow.
And Isle of Man, actually. So for the first games, the quality of the netball is outstanding.
It really is.
So here we go into the last 5 minutes of this first quarter. Isle of Man leading the UAE 11 goals to 8. Good hands by Flanagan.
Yeah. They bring the ball out really fast and down to the other end.
Unlucky there, well read by Vivia Stawna. Long ball
Nice
in there.
vision.
Carly Lewis not afraid to find Donovan under the post. Nicely acknowledged by Donovan. 11 goals, plays 9. So Ashley Hall. Quite an experienced player as well. Great ball again. Just giving Donovan a bit too much space there at the back. Great shot. I think the keeper there, Katrina Keeling, just getting called from falling in 3 feet distance.
Yeah.
Great interplay between Swales and Hall there in the circle for Isle of Man. 12-10. Sensibly playing the ball down. Good ball in again to Swales under the post. Isle of Man will be pleased with a potential 4-goal gap going into the end of the first quarter. Their centre pass. Goal will stand.
Great shooting.
It's hard to believe these teams are taking to the court for the first time in an international today, and that was great reading of the game.
Yes.
In there by Keeling. Timed that one well. Unlucky. 1:46 on the clock here in Gibraltar. And as we saw from the Commonwealth Games, every second counts.
Every second counts. It's not over till the buzzer goes. Oh, nice passing.
Not sure Donovan was quite aware that was coming in, but reacted really well. A little bit of inexperience showing there. Just didn't quite look after the ball.
Again.
Keeling marking that space down the court very efficiently.
Yes.
Into Swales, and again.
Keeling has made a real big difference. All those intercepts have turned into goals.
Oh, that's unfortunate. UAE have got time to bring it down. Close the gap by 1. Centre calling.
Yep.
So as we enter the end of this first period of the netball this weekend, we can see that the Isle of Man have taken a little bit of a commanding lead, 16-11. Early stages though in this match. Sean, what's your thoughts?
I think it came as a surprise to all of us. We weren't sure what to expect. On paper, I think the UAE looked a little stronger, but the Isle of Man is not disappointing. Unbelievable play. Their center court is really, really strong, and their shooting is unbelievable. Not to mention the intercepts by the keeper, just giving them that 5-point lead. It's amazing to see. So
for Chloe Swales, in a go shooter for the Isle of Man, very effective shooting this quarter. As I mentioned, she also represents the Isle of Man football, her first international netball cap, certainly not showing the nerves out there.
No, not at all. All her shots have been spot on.
So if you were the coach now on the UAE bench, which you will be on the bench for Israel later on, what would you be saying to the players here as we can see them?
I think they need to be a little more careful with the passing into the circle, because the keeper is really good at reading the game, and she's jumped in to catch it. So they're better off taking shorter passes and more sure to get it in and not losing it with those intercepts. Yeah.
So that's Kat Keeling, who's in at goalkeeper for the Isle of Man. Again, her first international netball cap, but she's represented the Isle of Man basketball and clay shooting. And her husband Jake has also competed in 4 Commonwealth Games, so a bit of a sporting family.
Oh, wow.
So I hope you've enjoyed this first quarter here in Gibraltar. Please feel free to let us know what your thoughts on the game are. Keep the netball conversation going. We're trying to get worldwide coverage of the sport following the success of the teams here in the region at the Com Games down under. What a great tournament that was. And as you can see, it's not about just the top teams in the world. These teams need competition. They've come here to compete for the very first time, 2 of them. And I don't think they're just taking part. They absolutely want to compete.
They want to compete, and they're good competition. I mean, we really looking forward to having a really great tournament ahead. I mean, Donovan played so strong in the circle there, and the score doesn't reflect that completely, but just goes to show you what an important part of the team the defense has. Can really make or break. Their defense was really strong, the Isle of Man, intercepting those balls and reading the game really, really well.
So I expect to see any changes here, do you think, Sean?
Not too many. I don't think any of them have changed. The girls came on. I mean, in the beginning we had a lot of new jitters. I think they settled themselves, so I think they might just leave it for another quarter. because they just started to get in the gist. I think the wing defense, they may have changed, or the goal. Maybe the Isle of Man made 2 changes. Let's wait.
Yeah, we'll bring you those updated scoring changes from the bench in just a few seconds. As you can see, Nadine Zamet's bringing the ball in from Gibraltar. Here we go, second half. Next 15, Isle of Man leading UAE by 16 goals to 11. Wales playing herself in, more comfortable position. UAE bringing the ball down.
Oh, nice pickup.
It's like a new attacking combination there. Donovan asking for the ball. Good rebound there. Nice shot. Isle of Man 16, UAE 12. Nice touch by the goal attack, finding shooter under the post. Pressure there. As you can see, the Isle of Man has a new defender on, Evans on wing defence. And UAE has brought on Rachel Richardson at wing defence.
Yet another intercept by the Isle of Man.
So 18 plays 13. Isle of Man still in the lead. Offside called. Circle gives UAE possession.
I'd be interested to see the stats on the percentage of the possession of the ball. The UAE actually possesses the ball a lot of the time, but don't manage to turn that into goals.
So Vickery in it. Wing attack just trying to find Donovan under the post. Not afraid to put the ball up there, Donovan. 18, Isle of Man, UAE on 14. Centre pass for the UAE. See if they can close it. Great ball by Vickery into Carly Lewis. Ex-Welsh player, centre, Carly Lewis for UAE. Clinical finishing there by Donovan.
She's looking super strong today. And I think her teammates know it. They have no problem passing her the ball. They find her every time.
So offside called. Isle of Man trying to... Yeah, good pressure there by UAE defence. Wins the throw in from the back line. Just got to watch those arms.
Yeah, they're all over.
Good hands there by Keeling again. Read that positioning of the ball really well.
Yeah.
Great turnover and transition, but just couldn't finish it off at the end.
I think just a little too fast. Had she waited just a split second.
Great intercept there. Picking it back up, Ashley Hall. Suez will get penalty pass. Oh. Vickery doing a lot of the work bringing the ball down.
No.
Great shot again.
Looks like they've both trained really long and hard for this. And it definitely helps when the girls come from a different sport or are athletic from a different sport and they're not starting from...
So here we go, just 8.5 minutes left until we hit half time in the first game. 20 for Isle of Man playing UAE 16. Offside called, so Keeling will take that out quickly.
That has already happened a number of times with the circle edge, where a couple of the players have stepped over. On both sides.
Well held there by Swales. Wasn't the easiest ball to take, but no problem for her. Gap now to 5. Isle of Man leading. Just sense a little bit of the intensity of the game's dropped slightly. It's early stage. Good hands again. So
I think that's why the coaches didn't make too many changes as well. They realized that the beginning was nerves and they let them settle down.
So both Richardson, who just came on at quarter time, competing well in there, as is Liv Flanagan at goal defence for the UAE.
Yeah.
That's my ball, says Swales. She's going to have that. With just over 7 minutes on the clock till half time, Isle of Man still leading UAE 22 goals to 16.
Not taking the easy option. The goal attack came out, but insisting on passing it into Donovan.
Keeling will bring it out. Evans at wing defence. Now for Isle of Man. Quick release.
Yeah, you know, they're slowing down a little bit and they're not taking that first option.
But moving the ball well.
Yes.
Nice 1-2 in for Swales.
Just a little bit more calculated and making sure of every ball so you don't see as many, you know, balls that are getting lost or intercepted this quarter.
Great feed into the baseline there by Isle of Man. Game now just creeping away from the UAE slightly. Isle of Man on 24 goals, UAE on 16. What do UAE need to do, Sian, to keep this within their grip in this game?
Well, they tried. They transferred in, they brought in their goal defense, I guess, to try to stop the goal attack. I think it really is in the mid-court because that's where Isle of Man is playing really strong.
Hall with the shot.
They're managing to bring the ball down so well and giving their girls so many options to shoot, and they're really making the most of it, turning all those options into goals.
Good shot again, Donovan. 25 goals, plays 18. 5 minutes to go. Evans. And great ball in there to Swales again. Ryder and her seem to have a really good understanding. Really well read by Evans there. Under interception well.
I think that was a quiet word to Donovan.
Couldn't quite see what she...
I think it was just an obstruction, but she was way too close.
So the umpire quite rightly asking her to mind the distance. Vickery. Keeling's really putting pressure now on that front ball. Pushing Donovan out, but UAE take that one. 26 plays 19.
That was an impressive catch in between two defenders.
So Ashley Hall with a shot.
And Hall being the shorter of the three, and she still got the ball.
A few mistakes just creeping in there now. 27 plays 19. 8-goal gap. Starting to look quite convincing for Isle of Man, but unfortunately Evans telegraphed that one slightly. That was well seen by Vickery there, finding Donovan under the post.
I think both teams letting up a little bit on the intensity. So we're seeing a little less touching, if you want to call it that. A little more spacing on the court.
Ball again.
Nice stretch.
Good pressure on the ball. There for UAE by Lou Vickery. Recently got married. Chose to be here at the netball. Why wouldn't she?
I'm sure her husband's very happy with that.
Great ball. Great take by Donovan. Not the easiest. Another good shot, useful to close the gap. Isle of Man 28, UAE on 21. We have just over a minute until half time here in sunny Gibraltar, down at the Rock and Victoria Stadium. Great rebound there, good positioning by captain of UAE, Liv Flanagan, but Ashley Hall was equal to it. A few errors creeping in.
But that's all it takes.
Swales scores again. 29 goals for the Isle of Man. UAE with just under 40 seconds to go. Lewis judged to have obstructed.
See if they can turn this into a goal.
Are they aware?
Oh,
What a
wow.
ball. What a take.
Whoa.
They can.
Very impressive.
What a way to finish the first half of this game. Oh, well held by the centre. I'm not quite sure that was
She was
totally
trying not to
intentional.
take it.
So the end of this very exciting high intensity game here in Gibraltar. We see Isle of Man take the first half, 30 goals to the UAE on 21, a 9-goal gap so far. Bit of a surprise, Sean?
A bit of a surprise. Yeah, I didn't expect that.
So both teams taken to the court for the first time as international sides. We've seen some of the United Arab Emirates players as an invite side, Dubai. Two of their players have been over to the region previously. UAE disappearing out of the stadium. Go and have a quiet
I think
half-time.
there's a 8-minute break this time, so they've got some time.
So we know that UAE are going to go away and think likely to see some substitutions.
Yeah, I think they're going to rethink it, and they really need to give some strength in the center and avoid those lost balls, because the Isle of Man is just turning them to goals every time.
Absolutely. So knowing that the Isle of Man is here, I'm really pleased to invite into the commentary box now to join me. We have Pip Cross, who is the president of the Isle of Man. Pip, welcome. I hope you can hear me.
Thank you very much. I can, yes.
So what an exciting first game.
Absolutely brilliant. Chuffed a bit.
Was that what you're expecting in terms of the play from the Isle of Man and UAE today? Both of you haven't played at this level before. I know when we spoke earlier, you weren't quite sure whether the team were perhaps a year earlier in entering the international scene. Doesn't look like it at all.
It doesn't look like it. We didn't know what to expect. We've seen a few YouTube clips and things on the Netball Europe website about watching some of these girls play. We hadn't seen the UAE. So we just didn't know what to expect at all, but I think the girls have settled in really nicely. So I'm absolutely chuffed a bit with the way that first half has gone.
Yeah, and there's been strengths from both sides. I think there's been times when Keeling in particular in defence for the Isle of Man put a lot of pressure on the UAE shooters. Donovan, though, is having a great game in there too. So it's almost like the battle of the two ends.
Yeah,
really, in
I
some
think
ways.
so. And I think there've been one or two sort of obstruction issues with Keeling as well. But hopefully she'll settle down, assuming she stays on for this next half. So, but yeah, and some fabulous sort of intercepts, down there as well. But yeah, super shooting from both teams. It's
Swales
really
and Hall
exciting.
are having a really good game. So tell me a little bit more about netball for the Isle of Man, playing internationally. A lot of your players aren't new to competitive netball, but new to the stage. What does it mean playing, at an international level rather than, more at a county, local, regional level?
We'd sort of not experienced the county or the regional level even. So we've got a competitive league on the Isle of Man. This squad is represented by sort of three of our top teams really. But I think just to compete at this, it's just so exciting for them. And I'm still shaking with but with excitement, and there's an enormous amount of emotion as well, positive emotion. And I think once we'd sort of first introduced it to the girls that we would perhaps come into Europe, the look on some of their faces was just wow. What an opportunity.
Yeah.
Perhaps one that we weren't afforded before. So thank you, Netball Europe.
You're very welcome, and we're absolutely delighted to have you here. And of course, we talk about netball, we talk about the great competition we just had at the Commonwealth Games, and the very elite. But the world of netball is made up of a lot of players at a whole range of levels. And our view is that our teams at the challenge level are really, really as important, because unless you all get better, we can't be pushing the best teams
Well,
in the world.
absolutely, and this is a great stage to show that, because, and I think sometimes, even when people have been onto the island, they've been a little bit surprised, about the amount of participation that we have. We've got a fabulous structure in terms of our clubs, bringing juniors through from under 11. So we've got a fabulous structure.
Kept in by their captain,
this is now
Ashley
something
Hall.
that our youngsters can really aspire to.
So we're just going to show you a few games. So here's some of the great play from Isle of Man, finding swells very easily. Ryder there, wing attack for the Isle of Man. Experienced player.
And you're right, but has put a little bit much more emphasis on the game, hasn't it, as well? And again, a little bit of an issue there in terms of obstruction, and maybe again, and again there, but hopefully she'll settle down into the next,
Miss
3
Flanagan.
times. But I think the switch
Wales again, the team
wing defence
are ranked yet
for the island
in the world.
in that second quarter was the right move.
So for the first games, the quality of the netball is
speed in that mid-court.
So bringing on Evans did have an impact. We said that
definitely
in the
impact.
commentary
Yeah.
boxed itself.
Yeah.
So
Great interplay
still a close
between
game, still only 9 in it.
Yeah.
Swales,
Not
for
over
every
till the buzzer
turnover,
goes.
that's worth 2 goals.
Yeah.
So there's only 4
Nice passing.
sort of turnover difference between the two teams.
Yeah.
What do you think the UAE are going to do coming out to counter into Swales? And again,
Well, I think I just think they're going to have to stop those passes with some super feeds going into the
had
circle
brought on
from,
Rachel
from
Richardson.
wing attack and from the centre into Swales and Hall. So they're going to have to maybe slow that down. And likewise, at the other end, we're going to have to restrict that shooting.
Okay, well, I'm sure you're going to enjoy getting back to this game. Pip,
Yep.
it's been
And they're not
brilliant having you with us. And as I say, the Isle of Man is so welcome. We're delighted to have
Thank
you
you very much.
Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
rest of the weekend.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
It's my ball and the ball well.
Yes.
So we just heard from Pip Cross, president of the Isle of Man, and as we heard Sean, she's very, very excited.
They're managing to bring
about
the
being
ball
here.
down so
and of course
well.
we know how much international netball means for all the teams, including Israel, Gibraltar,
shot
and Ireland,
again,
who we'll see later on
really
over
putting pressure
the
now on that
weekend.
ball.
So 9-goal gap, pushing Donovan, but still all to play for.
Definitely. I think the UAE is going to come back in fighting.
So we think there have been some substitutions.
Well,
UAE have made
wow.
some changes. Liv Flanagan goes back to goalkeeper. Jill Potter on at goal defence. And Becky Manson's brought in at wing attack. So do you think that will help? Liv Flanagan had a good game at goal defence in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think they brought on the other goal defense to see if they could stop the Isle of Man attack, and didn't really work, so they might just switch it up.
Okay, so we will see the new combination of 7 for the UAE. Probably not surprised, 9 goals adrift. Coaching team are going to want to make some changes.
Definitely. I think they're going to be protecting the ball a little bit more, just to be a little bit more sure of those passes, to not lose it in the mid-court.
So I hope you're all enjoying the netball here in Gibraltar today. Half time just gone. We start the third quarter. Isle of Man leading by 30 goals to UAE 21. Swales with the ball. Slots it nicely. Been very consistent so far this match.
Yes. A quick shout out to all the viewers in Israel, including my children. Hi, guys.
Really high shooting action there from Cat Chase, previously been at Loughborough University, so played the university structure through England. Jill Porter on it, goal defence here for UAE.
A little more careful with those passes. Like I said, that's exactly what they're doing.
Great draw there by God attack to leave space for Donovan under the post. She'll be disappointed with that one.
Umpire played advantage, but that's exactly the warning that Donovan had gotten before. on that obstruction.
But no mistake this time. 31 plays 23. So Becky Manson on wing attack for the UAE. Another good shot by Donovan.
Yeah, she was hesitant a little bit, then she decided to just take it. Well done. Nice defense there. Really strong circle play by the Isle of Man. They just seem to know where their shooters are, and I think that's making all the difference.
Good centre pass by the UAE. Oh, good hands by Swells, putting pressure on. Flanagan, though, experienced player, played in the England under-17 long squad, and also captaining the UAE today. Interesting that Donovan doesn't take the step in on the penalty. Some shooters take that advantage.
It was also interesting that the umpire seems to be super strict with the keeper on her 3 feet, but when Donovan is not 3 feet, when the ball's coming out, she lets it go.
That's good pressure there by wing D for UAE. Sways will settle. So the score here in Gibraltar, just over 11 minutes of this third quarter remaining of the first game this weekend. Isle of Man 33 goals, UAE 25. So we heard from Pip Cross, president of Isle of Man, at half-time. Sean, it's not that many years ago that Israel became a ranked team. I think it was 2012.
Yes.
So you'll understand the excitement that these teams are feeling playing in their internationals.
Definitely. I remember our first match, and it takes a little bit. You get your nerves out there, but they seem to be doing really well with it.
Very well read by Harley Lewis there, the UAE. Porter slotting nicely. Oh, well read there. In defence by Stawna.
They're anticipating those long passes into Donovan as well. Earlier they were double blocking her, double marking her in the circle.
Flanagan getting caught a little bit flat there. So in the ball into Swales, 34-26. Bit of a misunderstanding there. So Keeling will get the chance to bring it out. Hanson Boyd.
Nice fight.
Just seems to be that last kind of connection down the court into the shooting third.
Yeah.
Great interception there by Ashley Hall.
And just turned it into another goal.
That's where it says thank you very much. We'll have that one too. 35-26. Still 9 goals in it, so a bit more even this quarter. UAE will be pleased. They've come out strong.
Oh, nice movement in the circle.
Nice shot by Hall.
Like I said, they seem to be able to find their shooters very easily. I don't know how long they've been playing together.
Keeling really read that ball well. She seems to have sorted out the challenges with distance. Unlucky Hall.
She seems to read it well and jump in. Hard luck.
Now this is the part of the game, as you will know, as you're on the team sheet for Israel today and could be taken to the court. That's going to be interesting.
Oh.
That third quarter, just perhaps if you're not used to playing at this level of intensity, slight tiredness perhaps creeping in.
Yeah.
Focus isn't quite as good as it was in the first half.
Yeah, Isle of Man still looking really strong. They bring that ball down the court so well.
Penalty against Porter. Will Swales pop it up? Oh, we saw too many of those at the Commonwealth Games, didn't we, where the ball either just did go in or just didn't go in.
Yeah.
Felt for some of our regional netball family. What a great ball there by Lewis.
Yeah.
Donovan under the post, nicely acknowledged. Still 9 goals in it in this quarter. Yeah, that was really clever bit of defending by Flanagan and Porter. The switch in the circle won them the turnover on the contact. Good ball into Donovan again.
You just can't give her any space because she takes it with 2 hands.
Very well challenged there by Johnson Boyd. Didn't quite go her way. Chase will get the shot. Those are the ones they're going to want to put away to keep the pressure on the Isle of Man.
Nice pressure.
So it's now still that kind of gap not closing particularly, but not extending either. 8 goals in it, so UAE are 1 up in this quarter. Food for thought for the coaching team for their starting 7 at the next one.
Yeah, well, I think this first game is giving everybody, just inside information because nobody knew anything before this. So all the team coaches will be watching, including myself, to just get
supposed to be commentating.
especially just to get a couple of tips and just guide the girls on what to expect and how to play it. Hopefully it can help our team or other teams.
So 4.5 minutes remaining. Paul took a bit of a bump there, but going to be all right.
Nice pass in.
Great shooting again by Chloe Swales. She'll be pleased with her first international netball cap. 3 seconds. Good pressure then by the whole Isle of Man team. Nice ball. Well done. Isle of Man now on 40, UAE 29. So that gap is beginning to appear. Oh, great
nice.
reading by Liv Flanagan there. Unlucky.
Oh, nice.
Good pressure on the ball.
They make these nice moves, but they just can't seem to turn them over into goals.
The coaching team for UAE may be slightly disappointed, perhaps. Olivia Mason, who's the head coach, and Deb Jones, assistant coach. We might get to hear from them over the weekend. Good pressure by UAE there. Hesitating, not quite sure.
I think they're just playing more cautious. I think that's what's happening. Just going to try to play it a little slower and more sure so they don't lose the ball.
Swales with the penalty. Yes, another good shot. 12 in it now, 2 minutes to go till three-quarter time. That's a great interception there by Johnson Boyd. Richardson just unfortunate there, not quite keeping the ball in.
Yeah. I just feel like the UAE has a really good read of the game, but and they intercept, but they just can't seem to hold on to the ball after those intercepts. It's really tough.
So I hear coaches talking about look after the ball all the time. I think that's probably what you're referring to.
Yeah.
You have to work hard enough for it when you've got it. We mentioned Lynn Gunston earlier, who some of you will know is previous coach from New Zealand, worked very much as an England coach, performance support. She always used to say, netball's a very simple game, and we make it complicated as players. I think I know what she means.
Well, I feel netball is a real, I told the girls today, it's a medley. It really is. It's a whole orchestra, a combination of all the players, and I feel that the Isle of Man just know where each other are, and they pass down and into the circle.
Porter took a little bit of a knock then, but she's up. Seems to be okay. Not looking at the bench, as if to say, not coming off.
Oh, I think she has to come off because I think somebody called time. I think with the new rules, if they call time with the injury, then she must come off.
Yeah, there's possibly a little bit of experience in the side.
Well, 47 seconds of the game, otherwise I'd say they might call another injury and bring her back on, but...
They might have another injury is what you mean.
Yes.
So 45, less than that to go now, just under 40 on the clock. Isle of Man lead 44 goals to 31. Sorry, we've got a few technical problems on the screen there. 31's come back, it's 32 now. Yeah. We'll just update that for you who's watching at home.
See if they can get another one in. There you go.
Good shot, Donovan. 44-33. This is only a 2-goal quarter for the Isle of Man. Could it be 3? Spoke too soon. It is indeed. And there we go. So at the end of another really close quarter here in Gibraltar, Isle of Man take to the bench ready for the last quarter of the game. 45 goals to UAE's 32. So whilst I think the UAE substitutions at three-quarter time had an impact, perhaps not enough. Sean?
Perhaps not enough. I was expecting more of an impact because I thought they'd really try to shake things up. But I guess either the Isle of Man was ready for it or they're just standing strong. But I do see their keeper coming off for that. Looks like she's going to come off for that last quarter. And I think she really made a big impact on blocking Donovan, who I believe is a key player on the UAE team. So that we might see a difference there with that. Those two are very well matched.
So it'll be interesting to see how things are going. So we've got the opportunity, if you would like to tell us your thoughts on the game, seeing these two teams for the first time, and this is a massive opportunity and a massive start for these players. They've never taken to an international court before. Isle of Man and the UAE are literally new members, both for Netball Europe and the International Netball Federation. Remember, send us your comments, #NEOpen, and we'll do our best to mention you here live from the sunny, well, less sunny this morning.
Less sunny
here
but
in Gibraltar. I was
but it's
promised
sunny
sun. Now. It's certainly sunny on the court.
It was gorgeous yesterday.
So I hope, Sue Gordian, you're tuning in. We talk about Wake Up Netball and listening. It's not all about just the top teams in the world. It is about that netball conversation and all of us joining in to support every single team that plays around the world. So if you're not in the region and you're one of the other 4 regions of the world, let us know you're tuning in. We really welcome support from all our netball family. So somebody who I know very well, following us here on Twitter, Rona Hunniset, you're welcome. Wish you were here in Gibraltar with us. You'd be adding a ray of sunshine to the venue today. Faces looking quite intense there on the UAE bench. Didn't look like there was a lot of change happening at this moment in time, Sian.
No. Maybe, maybe they do have their best team on and they're just changing strategy as opposed to changing players. But they are looking a little grim.
And there are so many challenges for teams that play at this level within the world rankings, and of course UAE and Isle of Man aren't yet ranked. Netball Ireland, who will be joining us this weekend, aren't flying into tonight, and I think you all experience the same challenges, which are financial, as well as the girls paying for their own flights over here. Netball Ireland have to contribute themselves for the coaches as well, so the commitment that you put in is phenomenal.
Yeah, the girls really, they try to raise the money. The Girls by Us did a whole bake sale to try to raise money for it. It's not easy. It's not easy with women's sport in general, and especially for us in Israel, it's not a sport that's recognized. So at least if you speak to, to somebody in England, they actually know what netball is. In Israel, they don't always know, which makes it even more challenging for the girls. But they have passion. And I think that's what it's about. They just go out there and get it done, and at the end of the day, they have fun. So that's what it's about.
And it'll be interesting to see the play over the rest of this weekend. If we look at the world rankings, Ireland 22, Gibraltar 31, and Israel 38. So could be quite competitive.
It's probably going to be. I don't think. Look, at least Ireland, Israel, and Gibraltar have played against each other many times before, and quite a few, so we each know teams, and then it's just to see what each team is going to bring to the table in this match.
So Isle of Man have made one substitution. We saw that Keeling had a bib off.
Right.
Charmer is now on at goalkeeper, given the task of trying to dent the accuracy of Donovan. Not to be on that one. Isle of Man 45, UAE on 34.
Oh,
Porter
just
got a hand to that one.
Yeah.
No whistle, so of course we're going to take full advantage of the opportunity. Lewis is not finding anyone forward.
Just having a lot of pressure there.
So Charmer will bring the ball in. Finds Johnson Boyd at centre.
Nice intercept. Now they need to just hold on to it and bring it down to their circle.
So Richardson came on at half time. Had a lovely intercept. It's great to see all the shooters just putting the ball up, having that level of confidence. 10 in it now, Isle of Man 45, UAE 35.
Looks like UAE came in strong. Isle of Man haven't scored yet.
Another good pick up and pressure. By UAE. Good hands by Donovan.
They don't really ask Donovan to do too much. Stand, hold, block, and just shoot. She does it. Makes it look easy.
Nice ball there. Finding Swales.
First goal of the quarter.
So UAE definitely had a better second half than they had in the first. Spoke too soon.
Just throwing the ball away. But I find in these competitions, which happens very much with Arden, but most of the teams, because this is their first competition, then a lot of the teams get better as the competition goes along. So we see vast improvement. They learn the umpires, they learn the other players and exactly how the team performs on court. And you do see, so a lot of these little mistakes that they might be making now, I believe they'll learn from them and we won't see as many as the tournament goes along.
So Hall gets a third go. At this time Flanagan says thanks, but I'm going to have it. Border finds Lewis down the court.
Nice offer.
Cat chase
nice
after
defending.
the ball, but good defense by Johnson Boyd. Lewis had a good game there in at centre for UAE.
Donovan not scared to take the shot from just a little bit further away.
Good hands there by Porter. The ball wasn't really on that one. Oh, great choice of ball there. Johnson Boyd just waiting for the second offer. If you were to plot where Donovan's shooting from, she tends to get the ball on that side in that position quite frequently.
Yes.
So there's a challenge there for goalkeepers coming up against her. Probably going to go and talk to your goalkeeper now, are you, Shan?
Definitely.
Great ball by Swell. It's been a little bit quieter this second half.
Yes, I think the nerves calm down. The girls are less competitive. I don't say competitive, but less fighting, which is nice because it's not fun to play a game when everybody's pushing and knocking all over. So I think they're playing more as opposed to fighting more, which is nice.
And that's just all about body control, core stability,
yes.
Playing at this level. Oh, unlucky. Manson got hands to the ball, but offside. Still 9 goals in it.
Oh, nice.
What a great reach by Swales.
Goal defense, just Porter was sure it was going to go out, but it goes to show you never give up. Go for that ball.
Oh, good hands by Porter, reverse interception coming around the player's body. Good goal by UAE. Only 8 in it now, so definitely a quarter to UAE so far.
I think switching out their keeper, Keeling, did make a difference for Donovan, or for the team in general.
So you can sense the kind of raising of the intensity by UAE now. They know
Yes.
7 in it. That's only 3 turnovers. 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Great ball into Hall. Unlucky there. So UAE have an opportunity to bring that gap down to 6. Will they take it? Here's where the nerves will start to play, the intensity. Important.
Yeah, if Isle of Man thought they were going to take it away, I think they realized.
UAE have other thoughts.
Yes.
And there we go, 6-goal
6
game.
goals.
You can sense Isle of Man just saying, come on, we need to do this.
Whatever the coaches said at the end of that quarter seems to be working.
Nice screen by Donovan. To give Chase another shot, and we're back to 5.
Yeah, their wing attack is yelling pressure, and that's exactly what the UAE is doing. Lots of pressure.
Flanagan going for everything in there. Didn't wait for her to set.
Ooh.
Great play by Hall, not giving up, as he said.
Yes.
They're feeling the pressure now. That ball's not finding its way in as easily.
Oh.
Pulled outside the circle.
Yeah, hard luck.
Oh.
Also, I think the shooters are missing, which hasn't happened in the other quarters either.
It's just that slight hesitation now. I think Flanagan's switch to goalkeeper has been really effective.
Yeah.
She's not wanting to put the ball up from distance she was doing before. She took that one. With just over 5 minutes on the clock, Isle of Man 49, UAE 43. We've got a real game on our hands here, Sean.
Yep. Oh, wow.
Contact called against Lewis for UAE. So here's a challenge for these teams. They haven't got to a game, they've not obviously played before, where they've had to close it out.
Right, well, I think this is the key, because as they feel the pressure, the key is not to lose it on small errors, like the center making the contact down there, or Flanagan just flying off and just giving the shooters a free hand to make that shot.
Confident ball in there to Swells from Hall.
Well, like I said, also the shooters are missing, which hasn't happened. Swells hasn't really missed much the whole game. And then this quarter, she's missed a couple of times already.
Chase with the ball. UAE
Yeah,
just trying to
playing
settle
it
it
safe.
down. Which is fine for a period of time, but they've only got 4 minutes to go and 7 goals to make. Oh, that's a great switch. Good drive there. Intelligent play by Chase. Six in it.
Is she going to take it? She
Oh,
does.
is she going to take it? Wow. Isle of Man 50, UAE 45. Isle of Man taking their time, as you don't expect, getting back to the centre pass.
Oh, nice.
Good
by
hands by
Porter.
Porter.
Quiet word for the wing defense.
Nice feed by Swales.
Just fighting for every ball.
Back to 6. 3.5 minutes. UAE centre pass.
Just moving a tad bit too soon, Donovan.
Great
That's
ball.
more like the play that we've been seeing the whole game. But that's the first play this quarter that I've seen.
And putting it in when it counts.
Yes.
So Isle of Man 51, UAE 45, and Isle of Man centre pass. So important when you're that close, you score for your own centre pass, keep pressure up on the opposition. Well played on. Unlucky by Flanagan there. So 8 goals in it, 2.5 minutes on the clock. Starting to feel like Isle of Man are going to take this one.
Yeah, I suspect so. The UAE came off very strong in the beginning of the quarter, but just losing the ball again. Just a little too late. But I think they'll definitely learn their lessons for the next game. And like I said, they'll just improve from here.
So whilst we don't pick the player of the game, any thoughts about who you think may have been outstanding today, Sean?
You know my pick on the UAE. That would be Donovan. And I actually really, on the Isle of Man, I'd actually go with the keeper,
Keeling,
because she really made an impact there, and she all her intercepts really turned into goals, which I keep telling the defense players. You know, you say there's no glory in defense, but the defense actually makes the game, because otherwise you just have center shot, and the defenders are really the ones that make a difference. If they intercept and, you know, they turn the ball around, that's what makes the game, makes you win the game. So Keeling showing that that's the truth.
So from a game where there was 5 goals in it with the UAE about to have their centre pass, we're now back to 11 goals. So credit to the Isle of Man, really playing out this game strongly. And of course, we would say there are 7 defenders on each team as well.
Yes.
Being a former goal attack, I would add that bit in as well.
Oh. Well, I've played both, and I find that in the defense, a lot of times, especially in these matches, you feel like you're working really hard, and because you don't see the scoreboard move as a result of your hard work, you sometimes feel like I'm not making a difference, where in actuality, if you weren't making a difference, you wouldn't have a game.
Well, that's absolutely true. So 9 goals in it. Will Isle of Man get it in and shoot? They do. And that was literally the last second of the game. So what a way to start the netball here in Gibraltar at the Open Challenge event this weekend. Isle of Man taking on UAE with a 10-goal win to the Isle of Man. They'll be absolutely delighted with that score, I'm sure. UAE will be slightly disappointed when they watch the video back. 5 goals in it with enough minutes to go to turn it around. Just didn't quite do it. So, thoughts on the game, Sean?
I thought it was a great first match. I think it was definitely better than anyone anticipated. Both teams came out really, really strong and very, very impressive, and great ball skills on both teams. Just Isle of Man, I felt, did it so much better. They just brought that ball down and got it in every time. It was unbelievable.
So this might be the end of the first game here today, but it's not the end of netball here in Gibraltar. So by all means, go and make yourself a cup of tea, but be back here just before 6 o'clock to tune in to watch Israel take on Gibraltar. So will be interesting, Sean. Another Good shot by Donovan.
It's making all the difference.
Good centre pass by. Ooh, we saw too many of those at the Commonwealth.
It's not fun to play a game when everybody's pushing and knocking all over. I think they realize.
UAE have other thoughts.
Yes,